A new report from cybersecurity firm CrowdStrike warns that hackers are stepping up their attacks to access private information.
Well, overnight, the U.S. government confirmed that an unprecedented, widespread hacking campaign is underway and still underway against U.S.
Apple
federal
has issued
agencies.
an urgent software update for many of its products that you may be using. The tech giant says there is a security flaw that could allow hackers to take full control of their devices.
Hacking group Anonymous has declared
A story
war
that is
on
literally breaking as we speak. We are learning right now that Uber is suffering a computer system hack.
60 million gamers. That is how many PlayStation and Microsoft Xbox customers are affected by this
security
attack.
breach, possibly putting 143 million Americans at risk. Hackers targeting credit monitoring company Equifax.
My name is Jonathan Gonzalez. I started in March 2016, and my position currently is listed as a level 2 technician. I'm also working to move into the cybersecurity positions that have to do with, I guess you could say, the blue team and red team sides. The training that I have when it comes to practical application, a lot of it was self-taught. The background I do in school is I do have a few degrees in network administration and security. But one thing I've noticed when I was going to school is that when I was going to college at the time, that's 2008, 2009, around that, and 2010, around those 3 years, that area, is a lot of it had to do with concepts, theory. A lot of it was lectures and policy, and then going over some labs that had to do with setting up firewalls. But none of them really got too deep into the offensive side and how malware worked, and we never really looked at the source code or like the programming background on malware. There was some introductory classes into C++ and programming in general, but it was just general computer science classes. It didn't really go into what you could say a malicious actor would do. So in order to fill those gaps in understanding when I was going to school, is I would go to different websites that had to capture the flag, CTF sites. Back then, around 2010 era time period, they didn't really. What they really did have was boot to roots. Originally, it was ISOs that were kind of based off of Slacks. I don't even know if that's even still around nowadays. And they would have it would be a web server or a generic Linux server that when you put it in a computer and you booted it up, live OS, you had to break into it. So, and then they had walkthroughs or tutorials that kind of surrounded the boot to roots. And you obviously, ideally, what you would try to do is figure out how to get in on your own without assistance. But if you're brand new, that's how I kind of started working into that field to learn the more practical application of what they talked about when I was going to school. Right now, I'd say the current role that what I'm working on plays into the cybersecurity field is they have me, aside from just doing regular IT administration work, has to do with evaluating some of our security solutions and also coming up with different ones, like different SIEM tools that we can implement on our own, and also evaluating, what their limitations are. And it kind of goes back into my previous, what I was talking about previously, is one of the things, or one of the requirements that we had was having a solution that dealt with CryptoLocker. So, and one of the ways we could test it out is we could download live virus samples from different sites that for other security professionals to actually test or to create to train their EDR solutions to detect it. But also what we could do on top of that, or what I did is, okay, what can we do that maybe can bypass it or it can catch it? So then instead of relying on existing samples that were probably already flagged, already hashed, I wrote some modified like a version of a crypto locker in PowerShell, and to see if we could how our own EDR XDR solution would work. So and on top of that too, also analyzing different malware, not necessarily malware, at least nowadays, in email attachments, so that we could flag it too as well. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. It's kind of a lot of it's still work in progress, and also yes, and experimentation on the penetration testing. So that's kind of where my current role is. Nice. A typical day for me is similar to what I was explaining before on what my roles are. A lot of it is really just regular administration work, IT administration, IT work. I work on tickets having to do with typical support issues, technical support issues. On my free time, then I work on the projects that I mentioned that fit my particular roles. One of my first questions I would have is, do they have a hobby in something, and their level of dedication into that hobby, and then the reason why is because then I would be able to tell if they're engaged, how much effort they'll put into their job. If they're doing this for a hobby for fun, I'm pretty sure they can probably do a lot more on the job. Don't expect it to be like free to learn everything in class. You're not, or a specific training program. It's going to take a lot of extracurricular studying to the point where it's almost going to have to become kind of like a hobby. Even if it's on the offensive side as well as on the security side, because you're going to have to start experimenting with those things. More than likely, what you're going to wind up having to do is setting up your own home lab, so that you could do that. You can't just you're not going to have enough time in the day to work on a specific subject, or what you're covering for that day in class. If you're limited to using another facility for that, the amount of people there. The environment, it's not what you're really gonna wind up having to do it at home, where you're there on your own, and you can really focus. You're not you don't have other people interrupting you, and you have the lab essentially to yourself, because it's your place. That's gonna be a given, and it's gonna take a lot of time too. So you're gonna have to have a lot of focus, that's why I mentioned a hobby specifically, because a hobby is something you do because you kind of enjoy doing it. It's not like you're being forced to do it. It's not really work, but that's the mentality you're gonna have to get into it. And then when you're doing that, I guess when you're working on that, you're gonna also you're gonna have to hit up those CTF sites, like Hackbox, Try Hack Me. I think it's Proving Grounds. On offensive security, you're gonna have to go to those sites, and you're gonna have to start experimenting and and practicing. Nobody expects when you're going to those sites, it's obviously you're going there to learn that. So nobody expects you to be an expert the second you join. But obviously it's gonna take at least some basic skills. Like you're gonna have to know how to use OpenVPN. You're gonna have to know how to use Linux. you're going to have to be able to, at least connect to them. So you're going to have already at least be at power user level on those OSs so you can start, practicing. So I guess what you're probably going to, I guess I would say the advice here is you're going to have to learn how to set up your own home lab up. If you can set up your own home lab up so you can practice instead of you just, going through material or, you do in school, you actually do the whole thing at home in your own lab, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to sign up and participate in those types of sites that have those resources available. And that's what, in that whole process of you doing, that's really what you're going to have to wind up doing. And for you to, let's say, be able to even get there, you're going to have to learn a lot of those skills that I kind of mentioned before. That it was kind of my own training, or you could say background on how I got to this point.